BT here, as always, for ONS Gaming, and finally presenting the third and final video of the RCT Retrospective mini-series celebration for an ONS Gaming milestone. Now, I must admit, this milestone has now since been surpassed, which, thanks to all of you, that's possible. But I'm sorry for how long it's taken for us to get to this video, but here it is. This video is obviously on Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, the current last game of the core series. It was developed by Frontier Developments and published by Atari back in 2004, but before we go on, yours truly can't talk about this game alone.
Hey guys, Tirc here. As BT mentioned, really sorry about the delay, but glad to be back at it. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is a tycoon simulation game for the PC based on theme parks that heavily showcase roller coasters. Like previous games in the series, this game pits you as the owner and operator of individual theme parks.
Unlike the other two games in this series, this game went away from the stylized bit graphics and went for a more 3D perspective.
The 3D graphics were adequate at best, while not as polished or stylized like the bit graphics from previous installments. The new look really shined with the water effects and the rides when in the guest point of view. The graphics were not the only additions. Numerous rides were added, not just roller coasters, but other ride types as well.
True, not only were the graphics altered and some new rides were added in, but even the game mechanics saw some development. In this game, rides can have music, and while this has existed in the series prior, it was limited. In this game, there are several tracks packed in, much like RCT2. However, if you don't like them or you wish to customize your parks even more, this game allows you to import music tracks you have on your computer simply by dropping them into the game's music folder, and then you can use those ones instead. You could also do something similar in this game with a new in-game sign, which acts like a billboard. You can import graphics much like your own music and add that.
For the first time in the series, the night actually serves a purpose, and a new day-night cycle was added. It made the previous park scenery lamps actually function. In the other games they were just decor, but in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 they were necessary for your park to operate at night. When it's night, the guests will oftentimes avoid areas not lit, which could potentially cost you revenue.
With the new day-night cycle, they also added in fireworks. You can package together several of them and place them throughout your park as shows to start every day or specific days that you set them for.
All of these new additions were there to increase the realism and depth of the game. In another effort to keep the player engaged, each scenario in the game has different objectives, and now has 3 levels of objectives per each scenario, increasing in difficulty. The more objectives you completed would unlock other scenarios.
As the objectives have changed, they also alter VIPs and made newer ones more related to the people many of us will know, such as Clint Bushton, who is clearly based off of Bill Clinton. The VIPs are also varied in what they like and wish to see, and while you can set waypoints for them, they still wander as they wish. They effectively, however, make you need to run a tighter ship, as they serve to express the guests and can boost your park or lessen it based on their opinions of it, much like real celebrities. Which takes us to the management of the park.
Managing the park is very similar to Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 in that you need to hire janitors, mechanics, security officers, entertainers, and there's a new addition of Animal Keeper. You set the area of the park you want them to cover, and they will walk along the paths within that given area. Your finances can be monitored on a month-to-month basis, and loans are available, but you do have to pay interest on them. You will set your research budget and what kind of attractions you will research. The Roller Coaster Tycoon series really hit on 2 genres for me: tycoon management and simulation city building games. Obviously on a smaller scale, but some of those same elements of city builders remain. Building roller coasters within the game adds a different dimension to those genres that was a good expression of your individual creativity. It was a lot of fun to see the similarities and differences between my brother and my creations. When I would see him build things that I hadn't thought of, it would give me inspiration for new coasters. It's crazy to think that you have an infinite number of ideas, and I think that one of the coolest things about a game like Roller Coaster Tycoon is that you can look at what others in the community have done to broaden your own style. BT and I would spend a lot of time out of the game, whether it be on a long car ride or out running errands, concocting different ideas for new coasters or park layouts. We would do this with many different games, but this is one of the best games to collaborate on builds.
Fortunately, in this game, you can have more than one profile at a time, which enables households to not have any infighting over who gets to play what scenario and have their name listed as the victor, much like in the previous games. And certainly, you didn't have a sibling rebeating what you had already beaten to replace your name with theirs. Honestly, I'm pretty sure with the first game in the series, I was a little brother overwriting my brother's score. With the ability of having multiple profiles, you could compare between friends and family. But what I love the most about this game, besides the fireworks, while unlike RCT2, which is my favorite, this game actually had a legit sandbox mode. It wasn't a scenario editor, but a free play, unlimited money with no objectives. And yes, there was indeed a scenario editor in this game, yet it was a sandbox mode that would see a lot of play by me than any of the other modes of this game. Mostly because I always liked to make my dream park, which was separated by themes and its layout. In fact, it kind of follows the Disney or Busch Gardens conceptual layouts of the segmented areas. While it's still my own design every time, it does take from those parks. But if you had a lot of playtime or you played it as a hobby, you could actually make parks based on the real things, or some spectacular concept parks. You know, I'm not gonna make a lame joke about this game or the RCT series at all. Probably because I played this game, and the major reason I played this game as much as I did as a kid was because I got to play it with my older brother. You know, I enjoy creating things. It's probably why I like games like Terraria and Minecraft and several of the other games, but it was the fact that I got to play with my older brother. A lot of the other games that I played with him when I was younger were head-to-head bouts like Mortal Kombat and RBI Baseball and Ken Griffey Jr.'s Baseball and several other games, Killer Instinct, and those. And I could never beat him at them. Could never beat him at those games. And it frustrated me to the point I hated those games. I hated playing those games. Sports games and fighting games in general. Even to this day, I dislike those genres because I never had fun playing those games. As opposed to games like Super Smash, which I actually had an even edge in, but not in Mortal Kombat and not in baseball games and in general sports games. I didn't. So when we played Roller Coaster Tycoon and I'd watch him play, or I'd show him parks and stuff that I did, we found a middle ground that we could go to, and I could talk to my older brother, and he could talk to me about this game, and we both enjoyed this game. And it was because of that middle ground that gaming wasn't spoiled for me. I wanted to talk about this series because of those times that I had with my brother, and it has had such an influence on me that had we not played these games together, had we not had conversations of rides and parks and the troubles and all this kind of stuff weaved into the game that we both shared, I might not be doing this. I might not be talking about video games. I might have never thought to play video games. I might have just killed it. Could have killed it for me. It's hard as a young kid, looking up to your older brother who constantly beats you and doesn't teach you how to play the games to get better at them. That's not a slight on him. I mean, I agreed to the fact that you shouldn't let people win. They should learn how to win, or they should be more attentive on what other people are doing and looking at that to see what's going on. There's nothing wrong with helping people, but you shouldn't let them win because it gives them a false understanding. So while I appreciated that, it was always a sad thing for me. It was always I didn't want to play those games. You can ask him. I would try to play anything else, or I would outright refuse to play those games, in which case he would just play against the computer, which he didn't mind. I'm glad that there was this middle ground, and this would not be the only game that we would share. And fortunately, as I got older, we would talk about the games that we actually equally liked, and we still do. It's fortunate that we found that middle ground, and we have it even to this day. So I implore all of you with siblings, older or younger, to try to find that middle ground, that that common ground, if you will, that you both share. Because if you have an interest in something that you both share, that will be a key factor in keeping you together, even when they live further away from you, or you get further apart, because you can always go back to that middle ground, that area that you both love. And that's a great and wonderful thing. And we should honestly be trying to increase that, to improve those relations within our family. Because at the end of the day, who else do you have? One or two good friends and family. Thanks for watching.
We want to thank you for watching our video, and we hope you enjoyed it. It was put together for a milestone for our website, theonsgaming.com. If you want more content like this, please like it and share it with your friends. If you're into video games as much as we are, then subscribe to us and check out our website, where you can find equally entertaining and interesting content. You can write to us on Facebook at facebook.com/theonsgaming, or on Twitter at theonsgaming, to let us know games you enjoy playing and what kind of things you would like to hear more of. Links can be found to our site and social media outlets, as well as the other 2 videos in this milestone miniseries in the description.
Yeah, hello?
Zombies are coming.
I've got some work to do.